Hello and welcome to Kicking Tires. My name is Jimmy,
And I'm Justin.
and today is December 8th, and we got some exciting automotive news content for everyone. So we start off with the Audi TT, then Hyundai has put out a new trim for the Tucson, which it's kind of weird, I gotta admit, but we'll get to that. Passport has some price increases for the Honda Passport. That's a weird car, but like I said, we'll get to that. Some Polestar news. Toyota teased us a little bit more with the GR Corolla, and Maybach has something cool as well. But before we get to all of that, I want to talk a little bit about Tesla. So one of the over-the-air updates recently allows users to play games on the touchscreen. I mean, this isn't new. Tesla has games on their touchscreen for forever. But the over-the-air update allows you to select that you're a passenger so that you can keep playing, which begs the question, if you're the driver, you have autopilot on, you can now, well, play games. Like,
I,
that
I
doesn't
imagine
seem
that someone must be sitting in the passenger seat at least.
for it to
Um,
go off, you think?
yeah, they have weight sensors in the passenger seat. So
There's definitely sensors, but from a lot of like sites that I can find thus far,
you just press I am a
just
passenger.
you just say I'm a passenger and then you can start playing. There's nothing that says you have to be a passenger. Like drivers can actually click that button and start playing whatever it may be. Probably not that buggy game, like the one that you actually have to steer and whatnot, because I would assume that'll be a little hectic.
I saw a picture of that one. So there's two big arrows on the screen. It's unplayable. Like I don't even know why they bother because as a passenger, then you have your arms stretched out trying to hug the screen, and you have no real control because there's no controller like a
Yeah.
game console. Um, no, it's mostly like solitaire.
It's definitely a weird thing for them to have over the air update for, but it definitely sparks another conversation of, just how safe is Tesla going to be. I mean, people are already abusing autopilot, right? Putting like there's a manufacturer out there that you literally clip on this weight that is specifically designed for the Model 3 and the Tesla steering wheel, where
Hmm.
you clip it onto the side and it adds weight so that the autopilot thinks, well, someone's tugging on the wheel. Then it just continue to do what it needs to do. Like these are things that people are selling so that way you can defeat the system itself. So
Yeah, I wonder how much of it is just like a publicity stunt so that the haters will get triggered and talk about this car. And then for those few people that don't care, like, oh, this is a huge selling point. Because if you're a hater, you're not buying it anyways. And then if you're not concerned with the ethics and the morals of or the safety and the design, but for a few people that might be attractive. I saw that Android Auto also has this option, and I saw it pop up on my RAV4 screen, but obviously you can't play until your parking brake is on
mm,
for that one. But with an aftermarket Android Auto head unit, you can just ground the parking brake wire, and then you're free. I haven't tried it yet on an aftermarket system, but yeah, it's
mm.
there's some games on Android Auto. I was playing the one where you slide the block through the hole and you gotta move the blocks to get your block through. Um,
that sounds very fun.
yeah, it's like iPhone 2G jailbroke games. Like it's pretty low tech, but it's there.
It gives you something. Yeah. I mean, at what point is it just easier just to grab your phone, right? Like,
Yeah, like if you want a game, just game. Just
yeah,
fully commit to it.
yeah, just why bother playing it on a
Well, and
screen?
that's the thing with distracted driving laws is it's so arbitrary. And I feel like we'll probably see different jurisdictional, I don't know, laws against this feature being implemented in the car.
Yeah.
Uh, I can see some lawmakers just having a problem with it. Many of them would. Um, yeah, they might just disable that feature. You can't just bypass. Uh, you know, it's a driver distraction at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
if you can't watch movies while you're driving, you shouldn't be able to let your passenger play games. Like
Yeah.
it's the same logic, really.
Well, in some countries you can watch, like, because in Japan you can't have TV
Hmm.
on your head unit, and that's fully legal.
That's because
So
they sit in traffic so much.
yeah, I mean, I sometimes sit in traffic, so you know, I
I
appreciate
watch
it.
movies sometimes while driving. YouTube, Netflix. That's what
Yeah,
a phone mount and a phone can do.
but you're not
Not
saying you do,
condoning it, but
not saying you do that on the road, right? That's like when you're on a track or something, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That.
Well, pretty much whenever I go on a road trip, I will have some movies queued up.
Well, let's not,
Uh,
you know, yeah, put yourself into a bigger hole.
but watching a movie is not that crazy. Like it's not like you're staring at it, you're just listening to it. Really.
Oh jeez. Yeah, let's move on. I'm not gonna keep putting you down this
Mhm.
bigger hole because it seems like you keep digging it. But
Yeah. So
let's
both
talk.
the M2 and the Supra, both I coded them out so you can watch movies while driving.
Oh, Dustin. All right, let's talk about the Audi TT. So Audi celebrates its final year for the TT RS here in the US market with a special edition. This is the TTRS Heritage Edition. There are 5 specific colors, 10 models for each. Not 10 models, 10 units for each, which
Yeah.
means there's only 50 of these units that's going to be available. There's a white, a blue, a gray, a red, and a green. And they have specific interior colors to match them as well. I mean, honestly, they look good. I think they look nice. It's a
The
special and
TTRS has always been nice.
right.
Like this generation especially, they really nailed it with the styling. Um, and the idea of this is to pay homage to that original Audi Quattro, the Ur Quattro.
Mm-hmm.
And so the colors are actually from that generation of Audi, uh, from the 80s. And if you scroll down on the press release, you'll see the pictures of the original Audi in those same
In
colors.
colors. Yeah.
The interior combinations are pretty sweet, like white interior, green over tan, obviously my favorite, and
I'm
blue
not sure
interior.
about the blue. The blue's a little off for me, but the rest I like quite a bit.
I like the blue because it's over white.
Hmm.
Um, if you did blue on blue, it'd be really weird, but because it's only the seats, I think it's kind of cool. It is retro, like everything in the 80s had blue interior.
Didn't your 300Z had no, your 300Z had a red
Yes.
interior. Was
No,
it
no, it
blue or
had a
red?
blue interior.
Hmm.
Yeah.
My favorite has to be the green with the brown. That the brown leather on the exterior with the green. It's like it's so nice. It's like the perfect color combo. One thing that it's different than the regular. I mean, other than the color combo, of course, there's special wheels and whatnot. But you don't get the wing. So the TTRS generally comes with a fixed spoiler on it, but the Heritage Edition they ditched the fixed spoiler and gives you the retractable one. So the one that kind of pops up at speed, which is kind of unique and different. Um, I think it cleans up the lines of the vehicle a little bit more. Personally, I like that, but I'm not sure how you feel about it.
Um, Being an RS product, it is a little bit weird. Like it should have something there.
Hmm.
And I think my bigger issue with the styling is that the wheels are just the same wheels we've seen on Audis for 10 years,
Yeah,
10
the
plus
five
years now.
spoke.
And it's like they've changed the color a bit. So it's like a silver accent now rather than the black accent, but it's the same kind of
wheel
turbine
design.
wheel
Yeah.
that we've seen since probably the B8 generation, S4, RS4, RS5s, and they've now carried that over to every model. Even the SUVs today are using this very similar style wheel. It's like you're doing at one-off limited run 50 run car. You don't do like a heritage wheel design. That is a missed opportunity to me.
Yeah, they could have done definitely a little bit more.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a retro car at the end of the day. There's nothing retro about that wheel.
No, there definitely isn't. But I just can't imagine a retro wheel on it.
Just
Like
any rotiform on an Audi or VW is
it's
that
kind of
idea.
retro-y. Yeah.
Yeah.
It yeah, I guess there's a different look there for sure. Um, but what I want to ask is it worth the extra? So the TTRS Heritage Edition is $8,250 more. So it's a total of $82,495. So 8 grand more than the regular TTRS. So like for a collector, I can definitely see,
Yeah.
that
There's
being,
only 50 of them, so that is pretty rare. As far as
yeah,
I mean, TT is not that common of a car to begin with, but 50, it is special.
it definitely is special. I think, a few years down the line, Barrett Jackson, like it's gonna go for a good amount, but I don't think this is for someone that's gonna be enjoying the car. You know what I mean? I feel like people are gonna just put this away in their garage and keep it till they can sell it for more kind of thing. I don't think people are going to be driving this as much as
I don't
uh
think they're gonna make this is not the investment that it's not gonna pan out that way because
well,
the Audi collectors market is small enough as is, and like none of the R8s have made money at least.
hmm,
Because
well,
there's just nothing that exclusive from Audi in the last 3 decades. Like you really have to sit on this for 40 years, and in that case, anything you sit on for 40 years is going to be worth more money.
I mean,
Uh,
you can buy a RAV4 Prime for $100,000 in today's market, right? So like it's hard to say.
mm, yeah, I don't know. I think the colors are not. I don't think it's that special of a car. I think also the 5 cylinder is not as special as every review says it is.
Mm,
I've driven this 5 cylinder a lot in the RS3, and it's nicer than the S3, but it's also a lot more maintenance, and it's really not that much faster. I mean, you can tune up an S3 real quick, and I don't think the sound is that amazing. Like I think the VR6 made a better sound,
ooh.
and this is with it sounds like nothing if you don't change the exhaust. That's the other thing. Like
Yeah,
there's nothing unique about the way an RS3 or a TTRS sounds stock. You put an exhaust on it, it is a little bit different, but I don't think it's like that impressive.
I
It
think a
doesn't
lot of
sound like half a Lamborghini V10 as every review says. What does that even mean, half a Lamborghini V10?
it's half as loud.
Yeah.
Actually, I this might be, just me, but I think the 2.5 5 cylinder that was in like the
The
Volkswagen
Rabbit.
products, the Rabbit, Jetta, that actually sounds better to me. Like as a pure engine sound, none of that crackle, burble sound, but like this smooth 5 cylinder that was in the Rabbit
It
with,
definitely does sound really good. Just resonate or delete. It
yeah,
already sounds like decent.
it sounds amazing. But I do, like you said, the VR6 sounds better. I have to agree. A VR6 does sound really, really good. It's
Yeah. Like just
it's
within the realm of Audi engines, VW engines, I don't think this is that unique. I think it's the number 5 that gets a lot of people because it is really weird to see a 5 cylinder
yeah.
engine.
Well,
Um,
unless you're in Sweden.
exactly. Like some, I mean, VW's been making 5 cylinder engines for a while.
Yeah.
It's not a W. It's not that crazy. Um, the one of the funny things with the press release is they're like, we've listed the color options in the firing order of the 5-cylinder engine, which is 1, 2, 4, 5, 3. Yeah, we parked them in that order. It's like there's no numbers on these cars, so you could literally park in any order, number it after, and say, "Oh, we've numbered it that way." It's like there is no, that's not a thing.
I did not see
Uh,
that.
yeah, it's kind of a joke. But no, the turbo version of this engine does have kind of that rally sound, which I think is what it's paying homage to. But yeah, it does have a sport exhaust, but you can get that one with the RS already.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like legal reasons as well, but I'll, I just feel like the Audi cars, they don't sound as exciting as like M cars do or AMG cars do out of
Mhm.
the factory. Because like I heard an S3 and
Yeah,
I was like that's it? Like
you can't even, no matter how you option it, the exhaust is going to be kind of tame, and
yeah.
it's like that. Even if you think about the R8 and the Lambo,
Mm,
just between the two, it's a different sound.
yeah.
The same engine with different tuning, and they just don't go as hard from the factory level. That's not to say this is a bad sounding engine or any of them are bad sounding engines, but it's just out of the box. Like M Performance will let you, put a crazy exhaust on there, titanium exhaust. AMG will
The
do that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
Audi, actually, they did do that with the Golf R. They let people option it with the Acura exhaust, but
right.
uh, it still was not that crazy.
I yeah, because like an M3, actually let's not even talk about an M3, an X3 M40i, non like full on M car, just 6-cylinder turbo, family
Yeah.
hauler. That was so loud on cold
Yeah,
start,
like these things have so much noise, and you think there's an aftermarket exhaust, and you think you would get pulled over. Some
and
of
you
us
do,
have with factory exhaust systems.
and you do, and you get in
Yeah,
trouble for it.
and I don't think you'll have that issue with any Audi product.
No, I really don't think you would.
Yeah.
I mean, positives there, right? Let's move on. Hyundai. So Hyundai, Hyundai's a little weird. This is a US spec car. I don't believe it's coming to Canada, but Hyundai has added a trim for the Tucson. So the Tucson is their compact SUV, bigger than the Kona, smaller than the Santa Fe. They added the XRT trim. The XRT trim we saw back with the Santa Fe, and the XRT trim is supposed to be like this rugged trim. So if you go through their press materials, first of all, the XRT trim is available as a front wheel drive as well as all wheel drive model. I mean, what kind of rugged front wheel drive cars or front wheel drive SUVs have you seen lately, right? But the XRT, it adds different front, rear, side cladding. There are blacked out mirrors, blacked out window surrounds. You get side steps across what's it called? Oh, sorry, roof rails as well as a tow hitch, and
Yeah.
that's it. Oh, sorry, you also get exclusive 19-inch alloy wheels with a rugged design, not the tire, the wheel.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I get it. It's an appearance package, right?
It's an appearance adventure package. Like you've got to look at it that way, I guess. It's not any capability,
Yeah,
but it's probably a cheaper way to get roof racks, side steps, and like these are the dealer added options, but probably at a better deal for the customer
yeah.
to get a trailer hitch and the roof rack and all that stuff, and get your car wrapped after the fact. Right, get rid of the chrome trim, like everything. By doing this from factory, it's actually typically a better value because getting everything one by one aftermarket, I can see it costing more. and like yeah, just painting your wheels black. Like it doesn't. It's really not much. But then they see, okay, well, a lot of our customers are wanting to go that direction. You see all these CRVs and RAV4s that have every accessory in the accessory catalog checked off, and that's kind of where these manufacturers end up. Is they do a package with just really simple trim upgrades or updates, basically accessorizing the car, but obviously not changing anything mechanically. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it says it's available on the internal combustion models with or without the all-wheel drive. So I think it's only available on the base engine, the 2.5 liter
Mm,
4-cylinder, which in my opinion isn't the engine to get. The hybrid with the 1.6 turbo, that's the one you want.
mm.
It delivers better torque, better economy, better power, and it's a lot smoother as well.
And there's a plug-in version of this, right?
There is a plug-in as well, and that's what actually I'm driving this week. Well, similar, but
Nice.
um,
I do like the cladding they've done on this. I think it has a really good look to it.
I
It's just a look.
so
Uh,
here's my take. A lot of manufacturers are doing blacked out packages for a lot of their cars, right? We see that with basically everyone.
Everyone
Nightshade
has a
package
black
on Toyota.
edition, night edition. Yeah.
Exactly. I think they're marketing this wrong, right? To me, I think they're marketing it wrong. Instead of saying that it's the off-road or rugged version, if they just call it the blacked out edition, it's it's easier for me to just accept that it's not any more off-road capable. It's just an appearance package that's blacked out. Because I mean, if you look at it, that's basically what it is: blacked out wheels, blacked out mirrors, blacked out window trim. Right? That's basically all it is. It's just a
But it's
black
blacked out cladding, like it's matte black cladding. Typically, these black editions are going to be,
glossy black.
yeah, gloss black, and that's kind of the issue. That's where the XSE model of the RAV4 is.
Yeah, that's also true. But I don't know. It's kind of in the middle of the two, I guess. Like, sure, the unpainted black plastic cladding is maybe it looks a little bit more rugged, especially that Thanos looking chin that they have. But I'm not a big fan of blacked out cars in general because you lose all the detail on like the wheels. You lose, you know, it just doesn't look as good in my eye.
it's
But
just
that's just
like it's
me.
kind of a cop out, and but in some cars it does look a lot better. Uh, at the same time, so I don't know. It's like an easy thing you could do to sporty it up a bit.
I think blacked out mirrors and window trim I'm okay with. It's just the wheels. I think blacked out wheels is what I
And
dislike
they're
the most.
19s too, which is
Yeah.
it's a lot of wheel for a go anywhere attitude, as
Can
they
can
say.
you even find AT tires in that size?
You can, because the trail or whatever RAV4 has 19s as well.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. Interesting.
yeah.
Moving on to another basically rugged, kind of rugged SUV, Honda Passport. So the Honda Passport, they updated the vehicle with a brand new model, the Trail Sport, which we talked about previously. The Trail Sport is like the rugged kind of off-road D pack. You get you don't get a lift on the Passport. It's exactly the same height. The only real difference is the side wall of the tire. It's an AT looking sidewall, but the tread is very passenger. but they but the biggest news here in the US anyways, it's a huge increase in price. So in the US, the base trim, the sport trim is no longer available. So it's an increase of $5,080 to step into the base Passport, which is now the EXL in the US. But it's not just the base trim that has a huge step up. Even like the touring trim, the top trim. Oh, sorry, it's the elite trim in the US. It's $1,250 more than previous.
Hmm.
And it's not just in the US, in Canada as well. It's like 1,500 to 2 grand more to the base models. And I don't understand why there's such a big price increase for the Passport, considering that, yes, it did get an update to the front end, but that's really all it got. There's nothing really that's any more special to the Passport than it, was before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, with all manufacturers now, prices are going up across the board. So, we talked about this before the show, and we're like, okay, the Passport already does not sell that well, and you're raising the price for it. But in reality, everything is going up. And there's going to be a lot of market adjustments. So I think the news story here is not the Passport, but just keep an eye out for everything else around it going up as well. So if you're looking at any other crossover SUV, just know inflation is coming. Um, that that to me is a takeaway. Yeah,
52 grand for a top trim Passport right now.
it's a good looking car.
I,
I think with the Trail Sport Pack, and
no,
the new
that's
front end, like it's
yeah,
pretty
that's
handsome.
that's a touring. The Trail Sport's going to be a little less than that. I think it's like still like 49 though.
Yeah, it's
It's
about 3 grand under the Elite in the US. So,
probably about the
um,
same. Yeah,
yeah, probably like 50.
I just don't understand why the Passport is. I just feel like Honda Honda has, of course, the CRV, and they have the Pilot. They put out the Passport because they're like, hey, why don't we lob like 4 inches off the Pilot and sell it as a completely different car? The
Yeah,
Passport could have been so much more than that. I mean, the CRV is already getting to a pretty big size, and I mean, Honda could use a 5 passenger SUV, but I mean, if they took the RDX and they made it more utilitarian, that could have been their Passport. There could have been their middle ground, right? Because the RDX is a good size for a lot of people. It's not much bigger, and it's
the
fine.
same as a CRV then.
It's slightly bigger than the CRV, but because of the acro packaging, like the thicker seats and everything, the interior dimensions is actually a little smaller, so it feels a little bit more cramped. But the previous generation RDX would have been a great base for the
Yeah.
the new generation of this Passport, right?
Well, here's the thing with the Passport is that it's an afterthought car,
Oh,
right? Like
100%.
it came out like 5 years after the Pilot on which it's based, and the Pilot was pretty okay when it first came out. But the Pilot is no longer competitive,
No.
and as a result, the Passport is also no longer competitive before it even set foot in the door. And the problem with the Passport, I guess, is yeah, it just doesn't have that appeal. It's like pricing aside, it just doesn't really move the needle for a lot of people, and it's because it is a lazy interpretation of whatever it's trying to be.
Yeah.
Uh, it will catch some fans. Some people like the look. I like the look, but I wouldn't buy it regardless. And it's not a price obstacle to me. But the reason why this news story is so bizarre is that it's like you're hard to want. Don't play hard to get. It's kind of what my takeaway is as well.
I
Uh,
I do have to say though, there is a decent following. It's not huge. It's a small following for the Passport for off-road and overland rates. Um, I mean, if you compare the Passport to a Forerunner, like no, the Passport won't go where the Forerunner would go, but the Passport will get you there a lot more. Well, in just be a lot more comfortable because of how it's built. There's a ton more space on the inside. Like it's a more usable vehicle every day than a foreigner would be.
Hmm.
So like there's actually a lot of overlanders, not a lot, sorry. There's a few overlanders that's like on YouTube and on Instagram, whatnot, that are actually using the passport. And I follow a few of them and like it looks great. It really does. But to me, when I just look back on like the price point, I'm like, why don't I just get a pilot? Why am I buying a passport? Sure, the rear overhang is a little longer, but that's it. The
Yeah,
front
because you're
overhang's the
not
same.
taking it to such a hardcore extent that that little bit of length, the couple 5, 6 inches, not even
It's like 4 inches, I think.
4 inches, doesn't even. It's not going to make a difference because you're not rock crawling. You're not
No,
going through some crazy obstacles with this type of vehicle.
yeah.
If you did, you would just get the Foreigner, which Foreigner now is not even a bad value if you look at it. It's um the like you can get decent trim look, well, at least one that looks decent for like 45, which still has a manual key, or but it's a Foreigner. At the end of the day, you sell that for 45
Oh,
after.
you can sell it for a lot more. There's a 2020 Foreigner limited for sale at 77,000 right now.
Yeah.
$16,000 more than brand new one. Yeah, I've been digging on Craigslist today. I was a little bored, and found a lot of really, really
Insane
questionable,
markups. Yeah.
markups. But yeah, I mean, like I said, uh, I driven the passport. I took it down to the ridge. I had a good time in it. It's a fine vehicle, but I just, especially now with the increase in price, it's so much closer to the pilot now that like you really have to start questioning, why do you want a passport
Hmm.
over the pilot? Doesn't make
Yep.
sense.
Hmm.
Anyways, let's move on to Polestar. So Polestar, they have two cars. They have the Polestar 1 and the Polestar 2. Super easy. The Polestar 1 was like the plug-in hybrid electric two-door sports coupe that really wasn't that sporty, but it was really cool. Um, it didn't really sell because it wasn't like super mass, uh, like a it wasn't a product for everyone, right? The
Yeah.
Polestar 2, it kind of is. So the Polestar 2 is basically an XC40 without the SUV-ness of it. It's on the same platform, which means the ride height is actually a little bit higher than you might think, and the vehicle is actually a little bit bigger than you might think. But
Kind of S60 cross country.
yeah, which is your favorite, obviously.
Yeah.
You love the lifted sedans.
Yeah.
It, the Polestar 2 looks great. But the news here is they actually got an over-the-air update. And this over-the-air update is actually kind of cool because what they've done here is with this entire blurb that they have, uh, is they actually increased the horsepower for the Polestar 2. They added 67 horsepower. So now there's a
Ooh.
total of 476 horsepower and 502 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 100 is now down to 4.4 seconds. But the main thing is the 80 to 120, it now takes 2.2 seconds, which is half a second quicker than before.
Nice.
But like they tweak the software, send it to your car, and now you get 67 more horsepower.
Hmm.
How cool is that? Like
Yeah, I wonder what it
technology these days.
entails. Like what, where they find the power. It's just like thermal management, or
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, but
they turned a
it's
few zeros into ones. That's what they did.
yeah, exactly. And it's not poorly priced, this car.
So the
As yeah,
Polestar 2, you can get it as a single motor or dual motor.
gotta go dual motor.
The single motor is actually decently priced.
I feel like I
But
would want the all-wheel drive for
exactly,
sure.
you will want that. But if you're
And it,
looking at what I
yeah,
would say is like if you're looking at that, the XC40 is the same price and it's much more practical. But the Polestar 2 is just cooler in terms of its looks because nothing else looks like it.
No, and with the recent Model 3 price increase,
Yeah.
this is actually you can get it with the Olins and the Brembos. Is it Brembos? You get with the gold Brembos and the Olins for the price of a Model 3 long range.
Hmm.
And now you have the extra power to boot. Um, pretty compelling stuff, I would
Yeah.
say. And it's a hatchback.
It is
A
a
lot more
hatchback.
practical. So
Much more practical.
yeah.
Are they Brembos or are they
They're
Akibonos?
Brembos. On if you get the performance model, they're Brembos.
Oh, okay.
The gold brakes, yeah.
Because on the XC60 T8 Polestar edition, they were Akibono, but the V60 they were Brembos. They're very weird. They like very similar in terms of design, big gold calipers, but one was Akibono and one's Brembo. When I
I
did a
mean, both
comparison
are
review, I was like,
decent.
huh, it's weird.
Yeah, but that's pretty solid that you can because I remember the reviews crapping on this car because it was so overpriced. Like, yeah, but I don't know. I get performance trim for 65 Canadian.
I
That
think the
seems
performance of the Polestar isn't as good as the
it's not a Model 3 performance. No,
no, it's
that's
not
like
a
a 3 second car.
I think even the
This is still a
long
4 second car.
range, sorry, even the dual motor on the Model 3 was quicker. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, but maybe not anymore.
Yeah, 76 more horsepower. Could or 67, sorry. 67 more horsepower, so it could be different now.
Mm.
Gotta take one to test. I know a guy.
Oh yeah.
But Polestar also released some news. The Polestar 3.
This is the one that really matters,
Who
right? Like
who would have thought their next car would be number 3? Like
yeah.
so they released one photo, and you're absolutely right. This is the one that matters because this is the SUV. Full electric will be made in the US. It's from the photos right now, there's really nothing that you can go on, but it kind of looks like a squished down XC40.
To me, Volvo can do little wrong in terms of design. And the Polestar, as weird and quirky as is the Polestar 1, it's a really good looking car. And I think the Polestar 2 is a good looking car. And I love SUV proportions, and I think this is going to be awesome and pretty excited for this one.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I mean, it still has the Thor headlamps that's on there. Like the current Volvo design came out back in I think 2016 with the XC90. I think that was the introduction to the current design language. And basically every single Volvo now has the same, very similar exterior as well as the interior. You really can't, tell the difference between them. The only difference is the newer stuff uses an Android-based system, whereas the old one is their own. So it's faster now, but you lose out on CarPlay. So there's that.
It's coming,
Oh,
apparently, next
yeah.
year.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
next year it's coming.
I had a chance to drive one, and I just because it's Google based, you can just say, "Hey, Google," and it does everything that you need it to do, which is kind of cool. Having a car being that smart and being able to understand just English is good because I mean, when's the last time you used the voice command button on any vehicle and it actually
Yeah,
listened to you, right? Like it just
I
doesn't work.
never use it. Even with Android Assistant or Siri, I don't really
Oh,
bother.
with
But
Siri, I'm okay with like text to speech. It's pretty good
it's
and
just so
whatnot.
slow compared to just
Oh,
looking at your
absolutely.
phone again with the distracted driving.
Yeah, Justin, you're really like I keep saying, you're putting yourself down in a bigger hole than you ever were. Hope
Allegedly.
allegedly, yeah. Don't you have a camera inside your car as well, like pointing at you
Sometimes.
sometimes? But yeah, this is the Polestar 3. There's really not a lot of details. There's a picture with just some camo over it. It looks like an XC40 but squished down because it has narrow windows, but
It looks wider.
it does look wider, but maybe it's because it's squished down and it looks wider. There's no proportions. There's nothing to compare it to. So there's
Yeah.
nothing that we can say currently about the size, but it would make sense for it to be bigger because they need something a little bit bigger. If it's the same size as the XC40, it doesn't make sense. Polestar and Volvo, I mean, it's still the same company as a whole. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense for them to put out another vehicle of that same size. It
And I mean,
makes
the big thing is the Model Y, right? Like that's a pretty roomy car.
Mhm.
Backseat is really good. Trunk is a big step up from a three. Uh, don't bother with a third row option, but yeah, no, that's a pretty practical car. And the Model Y did a lot of conversions, I think, for a lot of people that weren't quite sold on the three. It's the same thing. It's like that car may not meet all my needs. Same with a Prius Prime to a Rav4 Prime, right? Like
Mhm.
it's just a way more practical form factor, and there's potential here. There's
Yeah.
a lot of potential.
I mean, we're getting to the era where we're getting a lot of these electric cars. Like the last week we had the Fisker, which is super exciting as well. I mean, we're just getting to a place where I think
It's
they're
so
just
competitive, and I love it. It's just
yeah,
because I've always told people like electric cars. People ask me like, is it a good idea to buy it? And I'm like, it's really hard to say because the technology moves so fast.
yeah.
It's not like a Toyota or a Honda product where you can run that same engine for 15 years and people will still buy it. If you run an electric car with range from 5 years ago, people will crucify you.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you think about it, because like the first generation Nissan Leafs, they have about 100 kilometers of range,
Mhm.
right? And people really don't like them anymore, don't want to buy them because
Yeah, you
not only
couldn't
they have
pay me to
limited
drive
range.
one. Like I wouldn't take one for free. It just
I
yeah.
would I would not
Well,
mind.
you still gotta insure and park it. Like
Oh,
that's your only vehicle. Like
oh,
you know,
wait, you have to pay for insurance? Don't manufacturers just pay insurance for the cars? That's just a me thing. Moving on from Polestar, let's talk about Toyota. So Toyota USA posted a photo on their Instagram.
yeah. This
Uh,
one's a little bit more obvious than last time's.
this one's very obvious. In the center of the photo is a current generation Corolla in bright blue, XSE, beautiful as always. And then there's some shipping containers. To the left of the shipping containers, in the shadow, there's a car there with some camo.
In the GR camo livery,
So
basically.
it's pretty obvious. It's the GR Corolla,
Mm.
but of course, they're just teasing us a little bit more. They're just telling us, hey, you know what? It's coming. It's coming. It's going to be something that's going to
Mhm.
happen. But
It's confirmed basically at this point. We don't know what it has. There's a lot of rumors. Seems like everyone is on board with. It's got that GR Yaris motor and all-wheel drive. I'm really curious. I don't know much about this motor at all, and so I'm curious how it will be in tunability wise because the Type R motor has not been the greatest tuner motor. Uh, it overheats in stock form, and if you Honda it, you're gonna blow it up if you drive it that hard without a lot of supporting mods. The Golf R, on the other hand, has been kind of a tuner gem, and just because of the all-wheel drive and stuff like that, it is really popular for that market. Um, to give it 400 plus pounds-feet of torque. So I'm curious how overbuilt Toyota makes this engine because Toyota historically has always overbuilt their cars mechanically.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that it will be pretty promising. I could I see myself in one of these? That is the question for me. Is
Yes,
I I've
yes, you can.
always wanted the Golf R, and I think with the Mark 8 I'm not sold on it. And then with this one, I'm like, okay, I could,
All right.
I'm keep the
Here,
Toyota streak going.
here's what it's gonna sell you. All right, Justin, you gotta imagine it this way. So we haven't seen what the GR Corolla is gonna look like, but imagine a current Corolla that we have, more aggressive, right? More a bigger front dam, better like diffuser, maybe bubbly fenders, wing on the top. But the most important thing, a Castro livery. See, now you're sold. Now you want one. A Castro livery that's what's gonna sell it. And you maybe a cheater turbo system, like the one
Oh,
that they have back in
in the
'95 Honda
bumper.
Celica.
Yeah.
Just saying, a cheater turbo system, less restrictions, a little bit more airflow to your turbo, a little bit more power. See, now you
Yeah.
want one.
I think it would be kind of unique. I think it would look nice next to the Supra.
Hmm.
Uh,
I think your Supra also needs a Castro livery.
it's yellow though.
No. We're gonna wrap the entire thing the white, red, and green Castro livery, like the one that you played in the Gran
Gran
Turismo series.
Turismo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it needs that. All right, last thing here. Oh, Mercedes decides that the web page has been expired and needs me to refresh. But it's Maybach. Maybach has some news on a very, very cool vehicle. So
Yeah.
I'll let you describe it. I'll let you kind of go over it.
I mean, it is kind of the timing is interesting because so this is the Virgil Abloh project Maybach, and Virgil Abloh just passed away a little over a week ago. Uh, did a lot of founded Off White, so that's where most people know him from. He also worked with Louis Vuitton and now Mercedes. This is his like last hurrah, kind of, or last kind of most recent design project. And it's art. I think the thing is, you have to look at this vehicle. So this Project Maybach, it's an off-roader, two-door coupe. Um, you have to look at this not as an off-road two-door coupe, but as an art project. And what the point of an art project is, it's just to stimulate conversation, get people talking, get people excited. Objectively, it doesn't make any sense because it's almost 6 meters long, so it's the size of basically a full-size pickup truck. Um, think longer than a Tacoma. So it's a big car with no room inside, really hard to get in and out of because the door sills are like a foot wide. But check out the interior pictures, check out the exterior. I think it's really hard to describe. I think it's kind of Mad Max meets what's that Leonardo movie? Great Gatsby.
Hmm.
It's a bit of that to me. It looks like it has like 37s, maybe 35s on it, and really knobby tires. So wheelbase is way too long so for it to be that capable off road. But yeah, this is a pretty unique car.
I like that exoskeleton essentially that's on
Mm,
the top, that roll bar looking thing,
yeah,
because the roof of the vehicle itself, it's like a bubble roof. It looks like a
yeah, and I
glass
think it's
roof,
all
right?
glass. Yeah,
To protect it, so there's this exoskeleton that goes over top with a roof basket. Like it just blends into the vehicle like really,
yeah.
really neatly. Uh,
Well, you
like
need that to put your roof basket on because you can't drill it into the glass. It wouldn't work.
it's you don't need to drill it in. You get those suction cups, those suction cup roof racks.
Yikes.
There's people that run that on their like Porsches and stuff. It's normal. It's fine. But it this thing does look super cool, like a lot of concepts do. And that front end reminds me more of a Rolls Royce than a Maybach, though.
It is
Especially with
very Rolls Royce. It's so long and it's got a clear hood. The clear hood shows off the solar cells. So, the idea of this is it's the future of electric travel as envisioned by Virgil. So, Yeah,
Yeah.
no, like nothing before and nothing. I don't think anything will be like this in the future either, because it's just the form factor makes zero sense.
Well, that's what you
Um,
think now.
I know. Maybe I'll stand corrected 30 years down the road when there are no roads
Yeah.
and they're all destroyed and we need kind of off-road tires just to go to a grocery store.
Well, I was thinking, in the future it'll be like Fifth Element. It'll just be floating cars everywhere.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that's really it for this week. Is there anything else you want to go through?
I think we have covered everything.
Cool. Um,
Oh, do you want to talk about your review this week, the Grand Cherokee L?
sure, yeah. So just this past week, launched the Grand Cherokee L review. It's been a while since I've been in it because I'm like almost a month back in
Since we
terms
got the
of
RAV4,
like it's yeah
it's
it's
that same week.
it's a week that we got the RAV4 and we did a lot to the RAV4 already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Grand Cherokee L. So the Grand Cherokee L is it's a interesting vehicle for Jeep. It's a 3-row, 6 or 7 passenger SUV from Jeep, and you can get it with either the Pentastar V6 or the Hemi V8. Rumors suggest that the 4xe drivetrain is coming soon, which will make it quite a bit better as like a daily vehicle, because the Pentastar wasn't great on gas. The vehicle itself weighs quite a bit,
Mm.
and like I must say, like Jeep definitely went up market with the Grand Cherokee L. Like it feels great. It's such a good vehicle to drive. Like every like touch point within the interior, it's a high quality type of feel to it, which I
It
absolutely love.
is, and this to me is my point with the Honda with the Passport is the Grand Cherokee L. So it's kind of weird how Jeep's released it, right? Grand Cherokee L comes first, and then the Grand Cherokee. The Grand Cherokee we already know basically everything about it, but you can't quite configure one yet. I don't think there's any on the road yet, but there's a few Grand Cherokee L's already.
Mhm.
Um, and the Grand Cherokee is going to be priced slightly below the L, right? It's going to be about 50K. And it's like, it's really hard for me. Okay, so I'm just imagining this L, the 3-row version, but turned into a 2-row. And I'm like, it will be so hard for me to choose a Honda Passport over this thing because, okay, I get it. The Forerunner, it's a tractor. Um, but the Grand Cherokee has never been a tractor. The Grand Cherokee arguably is a more refined experience than a Pilot or Passport.
Yeah.
Uh, and they're very capable cars, beautiful interior, really nice exterior, in my opinion. I don't know, and yeah, the fit and finish is there. The only thing is really, reliability. We don't know.
Hmm.
I don't want to speculate. I don't want to. I'm calling myself out, and I know in the past I've always crapped on Jeep Chrysler for just really poor quality control and having a lot of issues. But who knows? I think they spent a lot of money with these new SUVs, both the Grand Cherokee, the L, the Wagoneer, Grand Wagoneer, and maybe the money's gone to something useful. But I think this is such a competitive vehicle for the price point because the base Grand Cherokee L starts at
52.
52.5
Yeah.
for Laredo, and what
You can't
else?
get one.
Hmm,
It's almost impossible to get a Laredo. So the base that you really can get right now is a limited.
limited, which is only 60. Like I think 60 for this much SUV is pretty reasonable for kind of in between a true luxury SUV and kind of a normal mainstream brand.
Mhm.
But you're having legitimate off-road engineering behind it too. And Grand Cherokees have always been pretty solid on road.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is going to be a tough one to beat, and it really makes those some I don't know a lot of the the other SUVs on the market obsolete to me.
So this one as spec is the Overland with a bunch of options on top. So isn't it? It's not the top trim, but it's still $90,000. So it's it's a decent amount. But if you compare this to the Cadillac XT6, which is kind of Cadillac's 3-row on-road SUV, and then you compare it to the Lincoln Aviator, it's basically in line with them. And
Mhm.
like I've driven the XT6, and I was not kind to the XT6. Um, I didn't understand why the XT6 was needed. It's not a
Yeah.
it's not a good SUV. It's just based on the Enclave and whatever else that's the Acadia and whatnot. Like there's decent amount of luxury in the Buick product, priced a lot lower. The XT6 didn't have any more power as well. It's just like it was hugely flawed. And then the Aviator is a great vehicle. It really is. But the problem with the Aviator is, well, it just there's no there's no brand recognition for Lincoln. There's
Mhm.
nothing that stands out for Lincoln.
Yeah, like I'm proud to own a Jeep. Well, if I had this car, I would be proud to own it.
Yeah,
Uh, and that is the difference. And you can get. So I'm looking at the what is this trim here? This is the one above. It's called the altitude trim.
mm,
Just one up from the Laredo. So you get leather seats, option it with a trailer package, and they can tow like over 6,000 pounds, which is more than any other unibody
yeah.
3-row SUV.
6,200 with the Pentastar, 7,200 if you get the Hemi.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's pretty damn nice. Like you don't get the fancy Macintosh system, but you get a lot of the. It's got good bones, and I think for that comes in at 58,680 before destination, which that is tremendous value, I think. And as the market changes a bit, as production catches up, we're seeing some manufacturers catching up. I think Ford and GM
GM,
have
GM's definitely there. Yeah.
have caught up. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see that. But this Grand Cherokee L, I think, is such a winner in my books, and this is like peak Jeep. Like they will make this. Remember the Grand Cherokee, the outgoing model, that was out for 10 years, and it's still pretty. I think it's still pretty appealing. I'm considering
Absolutely.
picking one up, but I'm just worried about kind of quality control stuff and out of warranty quality control stuff with that outgoing model. But as far as capability, as far as on road, off road, appearance, it just checks so many boxes.
It does.
And I don't know, like there's so many products out there that just don't have the same appeal.
No, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. But like when I drove this, I actually wanted to keep it. I didn't want to bring it back. Um, like it really shows where Jeep as a brand is heading. Um, I know the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. I'm getting the Grand Wagoneer in the new year, and I'm very excited to
Oh,
be
those
in
are going
that.
to be insane. But they're six-figure SUVs, but like legitimately so.
Yeah,
Like you don't get into that and you're like, why is this over $100,000? Like all the reviews, I'm gonna call it now, is they're gonna be like $100,000 for a Jeep SUV. What world are we living? Like I don't know. Just even this Grand Cherokee L for the 90,000 $90,000, I think it's worth it. Like
yeah,
for what you get.
yeah. No, I do agree with you. In my concluding remarks on the review, the only thing I didn't like was just the fuel economy on the Pentastar. I just feel like it lacked the power I was looking for and the fuel economy. Like if I'm going to be, having this like a larger SUV like this, I'll be happier with the Hemi V8 and suffering a little bit more in fuel economy, but getting
Yeah.
the V8 power as well
Hmm.
as the V8 sound.
Yeah, I think it's about two mpg difference.
And that's just on paper. In reality, it's going to be much closer than that.
Yeah, and the V8 on the highway is going to kill it too with
Yeah.
the cylinder deactivation and just not having to work so hard.
Yeah. And it's a good family vehicle. It has a fam cam. Like it
There is
held.
so much I like about this car, and it's I just I've I've written off everything else. Like everyone was rare. Everyone, how crazy everyone was last year about the Palisade and the Telluride.
Mhm.
Like that is the enthusiasm I have for this car because to me those Hyundai, I don't know. I don't want to spend that kind of money on a Hyundai product because to me they they build things not as a cohesive package. I think the Jeep engineering wise is going to be vastly superior. I think capability wise, everything is there. The engines are old though. That's the thing. The
But
Hemi is
old is sometimes good. Like
Hemi is very
Toyota,
reliable.
yeah.
Pentastar is not bad either,
The Pentastar is one of the most reliable engines that's currently available.
and cheap to fix too.
Yeah, like it totally makes sense. The drivetrains, it
Mhm.
totally makes sense. They're great powertrains.
Yeah. To me, the reason why the Palisade and Telluride are overrated is no one's talking about them anymore. It's so last year, just like any other Hyundai Kia product. It has that one first year. Genesis Coupe did it, Stinger did it, and it's just a
Yeah.
lot of excitement on that first year, and then boom, just falls flat on his face because it does not have the momentum to survive. I think yeah, and then they got screwed over by production issues as well. So it's like
Definitely
you
not
couldn't buy
wrong.
one.
Definitely not wrong. Because like if you look around now, I don't recall the last time I saw a Stinger on the road.
Yeah, remember how much hype we had on that car. And the Genesis, the one that, oh, it's so much better in the 3 Series. No
The
one buys
G70.
it. Like
Yeah.
there's it's I don't know. I don't know if they're just trying to appease like shareholders, but to me that is the short-sightedness of Hyundai products is that you cannot just beat people just on price. Like it has to have that X factor, and the Grand Cherokee is that definition of having that X factor. Is it's flawed, like you said, there's no efficient engine choice.
No, there isn't.
None of them
I
are
I,
good by modern
I
standards.
kind of I know the 4xe should be coming because it's coming to the regular Grand Cherokee,
Right.
right? Like
It has room for it.
I really hope it's better than the Wrangler 4xe because when I drove the Wrangler 4xe, I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
The just when things were turning on and off, it felt so disconnected because
Mm.
like it felt like two systems trying to work independently, not with each other. If they were able to fix that with the 4xe with the newer systems, I think it definitely would be a winner, but we'll have to see for that.
Yeah. I mean, the drivetrain is so different between a Grand Cherokee and a Wrangler.
Oh, 100%.
So I could see that being a better system.
It should be.
Um,
It definitely should be.
it will be expensive, but worth it. Like
I
that's the
think it's
thing
fine.
is like at the end of the day, it's like, do you want to take that plunge? Is it's just being cheap is not enough to make me buy a $60,000 SUV. It's at the end of the day, it's 60,000 to start. With a lot of these Highlander, like a decent Highlander is going to be around there. Decent, even decent Pilot is well over 50 now.
Yeah.
Uh,
All those three rows SUVs are all around 55
yeah.
for
So
top
it's
trim.
like I have a lot of used cars to choose from that are under 10. And so just you being a little bit cheaper than the competition does not make me want to buy your product. It's got to have that lasting quality that somehow they manage it with the outgoing Grand Cherokee, and I think they're doing it again with this one.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right because I do like the current Grand Cherokee. I was eyeing one of those, but I really wanted the Eco Diesel, the engine that you really shouldn't get.
Mm.
I want the economy, all right. I want the economy, but I know I shouldn't get an Eco Diesel.
The economy that when you blow that engine up at 100,000 K, it will cost $30,000 to fix, and yeah,
Fine,
because
just get a
it's an
Hemi.
Italian motor. It's just like you lose out in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of the issue with the 4xe too, right? You don't. It's kind of parts unknown, like
It is.
how serviceable that is and how much that will cost you in the long run.
Well,
That's
the 2-liter turbo that's on that, I think that was the Italian 2-liter turbo. I think so. I'm not sure on that actually.
it's
Never mind.
probably
I'll take that back.
it's probably Fiat Alpha something. I
I
wouldn't be surprised.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so that's the thing is a lot of people, if you're just looking at reviews, you have to take it with a grain of salt because these are proven drivetrains. There's a reason why the Pentastar and the Hemi are perennial favorites. It's just it exists for a reason, and there's a reason why Toyota doesn't step away from the 2GR. It's because they don't want to lose a fortune in warranty claims. And if you're taking a small hit, that's the thing is like you have new cars with fresh new engine and it makes more power, gets better MPGs, but at what cost? At the end of the day, it's like, hey, this is cheaper to fuel and everything. And it's like there is usually no free lunch. There's very few cars that really, I will say BMW has been an exception. They keep making their engines more reliable and more efficient. And
it's not hard when you're starting from rock bottom.
I think so. That too is like if you compare they the difference is they keep just evolving that engine,
Yeah.
whereas some manufacturers just go and just do something completely new. Porsche's always been good for that. Even I think the Europeans generally have like they do the generational things like the EA 888 that's 2-liter engine in every Volkswagen product that again is on Gen 4 now and it's so much better in Gen 3 which is so much better in so on and so forth. um and that kind of makes sense to me, but some of these cars is just they review well because they make good power and they're good on gas, but if it's gonna blow up like many Hyundai 2-liters have, it's just what at what cost? Like, did you really want that extra 20 horsepower or that extra 1 liter per 100K? Because it's gonna be a lot more expensive.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think that's it for this week, though. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching. What we'll do is we'll see you again next week with some more automotive news. Take care, everyone.
Yeah.